What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today on this, the 7th day of September. Here we are, sitting at about $111.2 thousand with 10 hours and 14 minutes left in the day. It is Sunday. Sundays throughout this range have been notorious to be green days, though the last few have not been kind to us, I think. Not that they've been completely detrimental, but just not kind to us. Let's see, actually. Yesterday we were looking at the Saturdays and found out that most of those Saturdays are red. But let's put this at Sunday. Yeah, there we go. That's nice. Little Sunday there. Go to the next Sunday. That'd be right there. Okay, so here we've got a red Sunday, green Sunday, green Sunday, green Sunday, green Sunday, slightly green Sunday, neutral, red, green, 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 red, green, 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 neutral, red, red. Okay, so statistically speaking, I mean, out of all these Sundays, that's a lot of greens, right? Just a few reds, couple neutrals. It's very possible that we could come down by the end of today, but yesterday we were calling for it to be a red day, just based off of that. Today, calling for it to be a green day might be a safe bet. It is the first Sunday of the NFL. Maybe we're going to celebrate with some purchasing of Bitcoin. I don't know. But here we are at $111.2 thousand, and I think if we look at the short-term stuff, we'll better understand what's coming. Okay, so let's look at this on the 1 hour time frame. Let's see here. Rejecting the overbought zone, rejecting the overbought zone, rejecting the overbought zone here. Okay. Stochastics have found some support at the overbought zone. Okay. Not bad. I don't like that you're rejecting the overbought zone on the RSI. That's not necessarily a good thing, but it's not condemning. You've been rejecting the oversold zone too, and sometimes if you can turn things back up, you can definitely revert this bearish rejection here. The 1 hour MACD is coming up above the zero. I don't know what to make of this, man. The price action doesn't seem to know what to make of it either. It's very neutral. Every time you come up, you go down. Every time you go down, you come up. So let's look at the fibs and just see where we are. The 1 hour might not help us. We might need the 4 hour and the daily. Yeah, right here, I would expect that you come down a little bit. And that would agree with the 1 hour RSI. It doesn't agree with the stochastics and the MACD, though. Those say you want to go higher. But, looking at this, okay, if you were to find resistance to the 382, you would have done it already. That's my thoughts, actually, looking at this. You've been consolidating at the 382 now for a few candles. That does make me think you want to go higher. Typically in this environment, you would go higher, right? This kind of reaction would mean that you go lower, but this kind of reaction means you go higher. It's something different, right? Let me just see. Right, for example, over here, looking at this from a high to a low. You hit 382, you double topped it twice, and then you went down, right? You didn't meander around it like this. I think you're going to go higher. Okay, so now that we've established that, where are you going to go? You're probably going to go up to about 112 to 112.3K over the coming hours, probably for opening kickoff there. Let's zoom out to the 4 hour, because I'm not very confident on the 1 hour, but I feel good about calling for it to go up. That makes a little bit of sense to me. It goes against the grain with the RSI, but it goes with the grain on the MACD and the stochastics. But I don't think you're going to see anything crazy. I don't think we're going to. I mean, if we went to higher highs than this, I would be surprised, but I wouldn't be excited, right? I wouldn't be too excited. That doesn't mean I wouldn't be excited because I'd be wrong. No, I wouldn't be excited because it's still not enough to validate that this is the low, that we found our low and that we're ready to move higher. We would need to get a little bit higher than just this high to validate that. We need to get above that high there. 4 hour time frame here, looking at the RSI, we do have bearish divergence, rejected the overbought zone. What I will say is you are finding resistance in these upper areas of the RSI where you're finding support also kind of in the upper lower areas of the RSI. Typically, I mean, going from the overbought zone and finding support at the 42 times, that's not a bad thing actually on the RSI. That looks good in my opinion. 2 hours left. Let's see if this can close green. Stochastics look good. They rejected the oversold zone. That's actually a really good look. Anytime you see that, that's nice. And the MACD looks like it's bouncing off the zero. You guys, that's promising stuff. That's very promising stuff. Now, it could be deceitful. We've been moving sideways. Stochastics and the MACD are less reliable whenever we do move sideways. We've had these kind of false interactions before. Let's just see if I can find one. Right, like right here. Looks like we were going to find support here, and we did for a moment, and then we came down. here it looked like you were finding support. Let me zoom that in a little bit. Here it looked like you were finding support, and we did for a second. We saw a higher high, and relatively speaking, like on a very short time frame, and then we moved down, inevitably even moving lower. I'm not too excited by this, but I will say everything here looks good to make me think that you're going higher. So we probably do have a green day today. That's nice. And then on the daily time frame, I mean the RSI again, it's at the areas that it likes to find support. You're just not finding support the way that you have in the past, and this kind of different interaction, different behavior makes me think you're going to get different results, right? You bounced here, you went up. You bounced here, you went up. You bounced here, here, here. You went up every time here. You're having a hard time getting up there. And so you might go down, is my thoughts. Stochastics look bullish enough right here. You're doing something different, right? You did find resistance here once, twice, even 3 times, but then you turned it around. That's not a bad look. Flipping your MACD green, which is good. I'm not too impressed by that. Overall, it's kind of bearish right now, but again, that might promote some growth here. I still stand by it. I think the charts are showing that we have short-term upside, but still some downside to go. Right? Maybe we're finishing this week on a bullish note. I want to look at the weekly time frame on that note. What's the benefit of closing the week here? That's green. I mean, that's nice. It's not like a big wick down or anything like that. Opening week for September is green. Bouncing off the 50. That's nice. So if my theory is correct, in next week being the low week, okay, we could find support somewhere down here. And as we typically do, not always, but as we typically do, you find support, you wick down, and then you move up pretty quickly. You wick down, and you move up pretty quickly. You wick down, move up quickly. A lot of these low candles, they're green weeks, but you started it off to the downside, right? So all I'm saying there is going down from here to about 105K, 106K, 103K. While that might be intense, and that might be how we start off next week, by the end of next week, if we come back up and we close it green, or even if we close it neutral somewhat, like on a red effect, like that, we pull it back up a little bit, I would think we'd still maintain this 50 on the RSI, which I think would look really good. Overall, the weekly RSI is bullish as hell. You've been getting overbought, not getting oversold at all. Lower lows in the RSI, higher lows in the price. Hidden bullish divergence, same thing in the stochastics. The MACD is immaculate. But again, we were talking about this. We've talked about this a few times. We were talking about it yesterday. The cross on the MACD, every time we've seen that, we've had multiple months, several months of consolidation ahead of us, right? Every single time this weekly MACD is crossed red this cycle, and even last cycle, and like all the cycles, is typically, not always, but typically it's not a good thing. It doesn't bode well for immediate growth. But yesterday I also said what I'm about to say now, which is I think this time it's going to be a farce, a false. It's deceitful. Where every time this cycle so far we've had implications of this crossing red implying that we have multiple months of consolidating to go. It's not like a massive dump, but multiple months of consolidating to go, maybe with massive dumps and flash crashes in there. This time I think it's going to be a false signal. I really do think it's going to be a false signal. But time will tell. We'll see how it goes. Every time we found support this cycle, we found support in the RSI here, here, here in these long-term consolidation phases. We're not there yet, right? We found support here, here, here in the oversold zone. We're not there yet. But also, every time we've seen these long-term consolidation phases, we've seen large spikes in the Binance USDT margin borrow rate, okay? The interest rate here. Hold on. What happened to my camera? It's gone. It's gone, and it's never coming back. Okay, there it is. There's that. We don't have the interest rates high here. And I think that I don't know if that's what happens and that this is the reason why we go through these long-term consolidations. I don't know. Maybe they just moved somewhere else instead of Binance. I don't know. But we don't have it here, which makes me think, adding on to that idea that we will not be in a long-term consolidation phase here. It's not a requirement. It's not like we can't see a long-term consolidation phase. To me, something's up here. I don't see us consolidating going into October and November. That doesn't make any sense, right? And typically it's like 2 months or more months that you consolidate after flipping that red. So I don't see that happening. Just because I don't see it happening doesn't mean it can't happen, though. Right? If we did that, that would validate everybody. Everybody would say that September was going to be red, and they were right, and that doesn't make sense to me. Most people are wrong most of the time whenever it comes to stuff like this. So And again, we have positive things going on here, bouncing off the 50 on the stochastics and the RSI. If this week closes green, I mean, I think there's more positive things than negative things going on. But time will tell. You know, it's something to pay attention to. But also, being at 111K, if we're going to consolidate to the downside for another month or two, that would make me think that we're going below 100K. And you guys, if we start going below $100,000 consistently, that makes me think that we're done with the bull market. We might have bigger problems ahead of us. You know what I mean? Like that wouldn't be fun at all. But time will tell. I don't think that's what's happening. I really do think that this is kind of a false signal here on the MACD, but we'll see. If I'm right, then next week we should find the low. If not, the low's already in and I'm wrong, which is fine. Or the following week we'll find our low. But sometime before the 16th or 17th, we should have our low. And then after that date, the 16th, 17th, we should be moving up higher, dramatically higher in a very short amount of time. End of month rally should be happening. This monthly candle, it should end with a little bit of a wick to the downside and a nice body to the upside. I got nothing else for you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. Bitcoin's going to $500,000 before this bull cycle's over. I'm not convinced the cycle's done. Not even close. But we'll see. Take care. Bye-bye.